In many ways, it is simply astonishing news. The Archbishop of Canterbury has resigned about half an hour ago, following revelations of failures in safeguarding and justice. The decision to resign comes after the Macon Review, an investigation commissioned by the Church of England's National Safeguarding Team, after it exposed a grievous lapse in addressing criminal acts by John Smith, one of the Church's most notorious abusers who ran evangelical camps. The Church of England considers itself a broad church with a sort of high church, which often looks very similar to the Catholic Church, and a low church, which is often much closer to the Protestant traditions. The findings, and is much more evangelical. The findings pointed to failures that could have been changed, that could have changed the course of many lives had action been taken earlier, and the report concluded that Smith's abhorrent abuse, which was mostly violent, might have been halted in 2013 had Archbishop Welby reported the allegations to the police at that time. Instead, nearly a decade passed without justice for the victims, exacerbating their trauma and fueling distrust in the Church's commitment to safeguarding its flock. In his statement, Justin Welby, the Archbishop, acknowledged the weight of these failures, expressed deep remorse for the traumatizing, the re-traumatizing effects experienced by the survivors over the years, and his words were strikingly personal and institutional. It's very clear that I must take personal and institutional responsibility for the long and re-traumatizing period between 2013 and 2024. He said his decision to step down came after he sought the permission of His Majesty the King, symbolising the gravity of the situation and the Archbishop's awareness of his constitutional duties. This resignation is not merely an isolated administrative change, it marks a moment of reckoning for the Church of England itself. And Welby's tenure, spanning nearly 12 years, was characterised by efforts towards modernisation and reform and keeping the two wings of the Anglican Church together under that broad umbrella, trying to manage both inclusivity and transparency. Yet, as he has himself admitted, the effectiveness of these efforts, particularly in terms of safeguarding, is now a matter for others to judge. His resignation statement expressed a mix of personal guilt and public accountability, reflecting a nuanced understanding of his role as a leader. I believe that stepping aside is in the best interests of the Church of England, which I dearly love and which I have been honoured to serve. Critically, Welby's move is as much about the future as it is about the past. His acknowledgement of the survivors and his commitment to continuing dialogue with them while delegating safeguarding responsibilities speaks to an intention of facilitating healing beyond his departure. However, it also casts a stark light on the Church's need for fundamental change and structural reform, a change that should be swift and unwavering. The implications of his resignation are vast. For the Church, it signals a necessary shift towards rebuilding trust and ensuring that safeguarding practices are not just present but effective. For victims and survivors, it's both symbolic and practical. It's a gesture that acknowledges their suffering and opens the path for new leadership to address historical wrongs with a fresh resolve. In closing, Archbishop Welby's parting words point to a moral and spiritual reflection that transcends his office. My deepest commitment is to the person of Jesus Christ, the hope of every person. As he steps down, the Church is now called upon to embody that hope, moving from apology to tangible systemic change. And the path forward will be challenging and scrutiny will be relentless, but the message must be clear. The sanctity of safeguarding is non-negotiable, and the time for silent omission has passed. So now, undoubtedly, the Church and the government will be tasked with finding a suitable and speedy successor. And there will be questions about how much the Church of England will fragment as a result of this situation, because Welby leaves under a cloud. and that is unusual for an Archbishop of Canterbury. In fact, I cannot think of a previous example. And I know that he was trying to emulate Ramsay by staying on for 13 years. He stayed on longer than his immediate predecessors, but he is leaving with a question mark.